What is going on, guys? It's your boy Dyllan and welcome back to another Destiny 2 build guide. Today I'm going to be going over one of my current and most fun Titan builds that I have made in Destiny 2, and I'm hoping this is going to be a little bit different compared to what most people are actually currently using and centering towards on a solo Titan. So let's just jump straight into the subclass. For the purpose of this, we're going to be using Sunbreaker. For the super, you can use whichever super you want, but we are not going to be using our super as it will hinder our ability recharge rates with our exotic armor piece that we are using. For the abilities, I've gone Rally Barricade, Strafe Lift, Hammer Strike, and Firebolt Grenades. Now the Firebolt Grenades link into a couple of the artifact mods for this season. The Hammer Strike is just my personal choice, and I think you're probably going to need this for the main thing that's going to link into the aspect we're using. For the jump, I've just gone Strafe Lift. There's personal preference, use whichever jump you prefer. And the reason I've gone Rally Barricade is that it has a 10-second shorter cooldown, so we can use it more often, which is going to link into one or two of the mods we're using on our armour. Moving on to the aspects, I've got Roaring Flames, which is final blows with solar abilities, or ignitions increase the damage of your solar abilities, and it stacks up to 3 times. The next one is Consecration, which basically whilst you're sliding you can activate your charged melee and it will just unleash a massive wave of like solar flames and energy and just explodes everything in sight. It's pretty funny. I'll show you some gameplay of it here in a second. Moving on to the fragments, I have gone Char, Blistering, Eruption and Searing. So the Searing gives us, when we defeat a scorched target, grants melee energy and creates a fire sprite. We've got Eruption, which is your solar ignitions have an increased area of effect. We've got Blistering, which is its solar ignitions grant grenade energy. And then finally we've got Char, which is your solar ignitions spread scorch to affected targets. So everything in this build is centered around using our grenades, using our charged melee, spreading scorch stacks and picking up the fire sprites and all that sort of stuff, and just constantly rinsing and repeating. Now we're going to move on to the artifact mods, as a couple of these are going to link into the subclass. So we have both of the Rain of Firebolts and Flare Up for the Firebolt Grenades. I've gone from Bricks from Beyond, as that is going to be one of the main ways we're going to actually be getting heavy ammo. I've gone for Shatter Orbs, Solar Surge and Volatile Flow. This will help and aid the build immensely, as picking up an orb will grant our Void Weapons volatile rounds. And for the purpose of this build, we're going to be using a Void Machine Gun. The Solar Surge, again, collecting a fire sprite gives you an armor charge, which is just insane. And the Shatter Orb, so when we break a Void Shield, we get an Orb of Power, which is really, really good. And I've gone with authorized mods for Solar, Void, and Grenades. And again, the 3 champ mods don't really matter. Moving on to the armor, I've gone with 2 Void Siphon mods. I've got a Heavy Ammo Finder. Moving into the gauntlets, I have Font of Vigor, or Vigor, however you want to say it. We've got Momentum Transfer times 2. For the chest piece, I have Charged Up times 2. For the boots, I have Stacks and Stacks and Invigoration times 2. And finally, the class item, I've gone with Time Dilation times 2 and the Outreach. And that is all the mods that I have currently on my armor. Moving on to the weapons, I've got Fighting Lion, because again we're going to be trying to use Void weapons for this, but primarily for this build we're just going to be using the machine gun. If you can get a Void machine gun with subsistence on, by all means get one. It's going to play very, very well into the build. I've got a submachine gun as well, but the main thing is, like I said, a Void machine gun, ideally with subsistence, so you just don't have to reload as much. So like an absolute melon, I realised that when I was editing the video I didn't go over the exotic armor piece, so real quick we're going to be using the Hallowfire Heart. This thing is amazing and pairs really well with the build. So the description of this reads, improves the recharge rate of your solar abilities and greatly improves the recharge rate while your super is charged. So that is the reason we are not going to be using our super. You're going to keep it so you get the increased recharge rates on your solar abilities so you can use them more often. Back to the video. Now, I'm just going to essentially go into the Thriller Drone Lost Sector. This is just, again, normal Lost Sector. It's not heroic, it's not legend, it's not master, but again, the enemies are higher difficulty on the Amuna. So hopefully it just sort of showcases the build in general and just how it plays out. If I can quickly try and get into it. Run down here. So again, keep the machine gun out pretty much at all times. That's the main thing we're going to be using. Kill this guy. And hopefully now we can start everything chaining. So we've got the volatile rounds. We're just going to wait a second. Slide, activate the charge melee, slam. That'll kill pretty much everything in sight. We've got our melee back straight away. Wait for the next enemies. Slide, charged melee. Kill this guy with the machine gun. Get rid. Kill this guy. Use the firebolt grenades if you want to. You have them at your disposal. Again, charged melee. This should hopefully just keep blowing everything up. Charge melee again. So this build is constantly centered around picking up orbs of power, picking up the fire sprites that you make as well with your firebolt grenades. So keep your armor charge up, which will give you increased strength cooldown. So you can use your melee and stuff more often. Now the more enemies you hit with your melee, the more it's going to give you a cooldown. So again, I didn't really kill anything with it just then, so I didn't really get the cooldown. But again, the more enemies we affect, the quicker the cooldown is. As you can see, I've just used it and I just got it back again pretty much instantaneously. And that is more or less how the build works. I'm not going to bother going into the boss room as it doesn't really work too well in there. Now again, this build is just a fun build for clearing ads, for general content in the game, strike playlist, maybe a little bit of gambit, just general fun messing around build. It's not really made for Legend Lost Sectors, Master Lost Sectors, Grandmaster Nightfalls. It's just purely for having fun, and I think it's just something a little bit different compared to what most people are currently using. You know, most people just gravitate to the little bong hammer, you know, where you throw the little hammer, and it's just boring. It's just the same stuff that everyone else is doing. So I thought I'd try and do something a little bit different, using the slide melee, which is just, again, absolutely wreaks havoc. As soon as you get the salts, I can't remember what it is now, it's one of the aspects. I think that roaring flames, as soon as you get 3 stacks of roaring flames and then you use it, it just gives you insane amounts of damage with the melee. So again, it's just absolutely busted. Anyway, hopefully you have some fun with this build. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Peace.